Hello everyone. Let us talk about a topic which has been into discussion due to the widespread of COVID-19. Yes, biological warfare. The other names are bioterrorism, germ warfare, etc. etc. So this has been into discussion and this has to be in the discussion because it is very important. Today and even in the history, we can see the traces of the use of biological warfare in the global politics, like the smallpox was introduced in the Americas so that the native population died. It was done intentionally or unintentionally by the Europeans or the Spanish. It is a debatable topic, but it was used, and its implication was clearly of a biological warfare. It was used as a biological weapon, and even in the Cold War era, both USA and USSR used to keep the germs with them in their laboratories so that they can use them when there is an hour to use them. But luckily, both of them didn't use any kind of bioweapons, and the globe was saved. Today, in the last 2 years, we all are very aware about the widespread of COVID-19. There are debates that is it a biological weapon or not. Well, uh, let us keep that thing aside. But if it is a biological weapon, then uh, then it has been used very perfectly because the world's economies fell down, and also the Chinese population was very much not affected much with the coronavirus. So it clearly indicates that intentionally or unintentionally, there has been a very devastating effect of the on the globe with COVID-19. So what are bioweapons? Bioweapons are viruses, fungus, or bacteria that are used against the enemies or against other people from other countries. And so why and how the bioweapons are used? Number one, bioweapons can be used to destroy the crops of other countries. Like a country can introduce introduce a bioweapon to the crops of other countries so that the entire crops get harmed, and the people of the enemy country starve. Another way of using bioweapon is by killing the enemy's armies, and it has been used since a long time. In the medieval times also, there has been traces that bioweapons were used to kill the enemy's army. And the third one, which for which coronavirus can also be an example, is that to kill or affect the civilians of other countries. Because if civilians are affected, then the economies will automatically fall down. Hence, it indicates that the use of bioweapons can have a devastating effect on the globe. Now let us talk about why why there is an hour of need to uh, to to talk about, to debate about the biowarfare, and why the countries are able to use them right now. As we compare it with 200 or 300 years ago, then biological warfare was not a term. uh, but today, as there are many reasons. Number one, the countries are technologically advanced. The technological capabilities of countries in biological and other engineering aspects have increased, and hence they are able to produce more and more biological weapons, and which is not good for the society. Because if the countries and the irresponsible countries, radicalized countries like China, North Korea, or Russia for that matter, and Pakistan, if these countries get if these countries are able to control the biological warfare, then it will have a very devastating effect on the entire globe, the citizens of the entire globe, the 7 billion people on the planet will be in the danger of being affected from the biological warfare. Hence, it is very important to to maintain a certain guideline, or to give some rules and regulations to each and every country. And also, there is always a harm of spreading of biological warfare technology with the terrorist group, because that can also have a very devastating effect. Number two, the frequency of mutations in the biological weapons are a lot. We all are aware about the mutations in the COVID-19, alpha, beta, Gamma, Delta, and Omicron now. So these all are the variants which concern the world a lot, and due to a lot of mutations in the biological weapons, it is very difficult. It is very difficult to handle them and to make vaccines for them, because the efficiency of vaccines are quite less if we test them on variant to variant. Hence, it is very difficult for the scientists and the doctor to handle the virus due to its mutations. Number three, the expansion of bioweapons are a lot is very fast. Expansion is very fast. The smallpox, the smallpox expanded on the entire world very fastly. So was the case with the COVID-19, and also there has been many viruses and many bioweapons in the past, in the history, which spread throughout the globe, and hence it is very difficult to capture them, because if they are captured with vaccination or any other kind of measures in one country, then they can come back again from another country. Hence, it is very difficult to control them. Another thing is that they are having a very high global influence. Today, we live in an era of globalization, and people, services, goods are imported and exported between different countries, and uh, hence the expansion becomes even more fast due to the globalized world. Another thing is that there is not requirement of any big machinery to deploy these bioweapons in the world. Just even a container or even a one infected person can even kill the entire human race. So it is very heinous to listen, and this these all factors clearly indicate that biological warfare is now a thing that must concern all of us. So let us talk about some other challenges. Number one challenge, as I also mentioned before, is that the the security of the technology must be there. There must be some guidelines. There must be some guidelines to protect the technology of bioweapons, because if it goes to radicalized countries like North Korea, or the terrorist group or the terrorist groups, and also the other radicalized countries like Afghanistan these days, if such people get the access of the technology of biological warfare, then it can be again very devastating for the globe. Hence, it is very important to have some guidelines to protect the technology. Number two, and the major concern, is that there is a very weak traceability. Although we are having a few guidelines, in 1975 there was a BWC, that is Biological Weapon Convention, was made, and it had certain guidelines of using of using some of the drugs and some of the substances in a very in positive manner, rather than using them as biological weapons. It has some guidelines, but there is no traceability if such guidelines are disobeyed, because because the reasons are obvious. As the viruses and fungus, bacteria, these things spread very fast. If they have high rate of expansion, then the traceability really goes down, and we don't have real convict the real guilty person, or the country is is not traced very well, and hence it is a challenge. Talking about India's perspective, then India is very vulnerable, because India is having a very porous border. By porous, I mean there is a incoming and outgoing of people with the India's border, and it has a very large border. India's border is very large, we all are aware, and hence the the source of any bioweapon from any other country, and its transfer to India is very easy. Also, India is having a hot climate. Majority of the places in India are having a very hot and a very favorable climate for the bacteria, virus, and funguses to survive, and hence this makes India more vulnerable. Another thing is that our population density is very high. So this is a thing that we all are aware. Population density is very high, especially talking about the mega cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Kolkata. So in cities, as well as if we go to the semi-urban areas, or tier 2 cities, then even the population density is very high, and hence the expansion of virus or any other bioweapon is very easy. Also, the other factor that must concern India is that we are not having a very rigid healthcare system. We recently saw that in the second wave and also in the first wave, the healthcare system of India collapsed completely. There was oxygen shortages, there was ICU bed shortages, and a lot of medical infrastructure shortages, and also the doctor and medical staff shortages were there. This clearly indicates that we are not having a very nice infrastructure in the um, healthcare department, and also the hospitalization of rate of COVID-19 was very less. Let's say that uh, that any other virus or any other bioweapon come is introduced to India in which the hospitalization rate is very high, then the the infrastructure of our healthcare system will collapse even faster and even badly. So now let us talk about some now let us talk about some way ahead, some where is the light and what should we do in perspective to India. Number one is that we must increase our spendings and our focus on research and development, because only in research and development, by doing research and development in the field of biotechnology, we will be able to handle the biowarfare. Best way of defending ourselves is to be always ready to attack. India must always contain and preserve some of the bioweapons so that we are secure very much. This is a thing that has been seen in the past, that if someone is having a nuclear weapon, then the other country will feel threatened until and unless it is also having nuclear weapon. So India must also develop its capabilities to develop biological weapons. Although India should not use it, but for defense purposes, it must be with India. Next, by increasing the research and development, we will be able to have a technology by which we can make vaccines for any biological weapon, and that will be a very excellent thing, because we took about a year and a half to make the vaccine of coronavirus, and that too has been the fastest vaccine made in the history. So it is very important for us to have a very nice technology to develop vaccines, and that can only be done through research and development. Also, India should increase its spending on healthcare. By increasing its spending and by having more medical staff, India will be able to have a rigid India will be able to have a very rigid healthcare system, so that if any if any bioweapon is introduced to India, India will be able to tackle it. Another thing that India should coordinate with other countries, and to and for India should coordinate with other countries so that the uh, the expansion and the use of bioweapons must not be there. There must be some other conventions. There must be some rigid guidelines. There must be some uh, strong rules and regulations about the biological warfare, like it is in the nuclear warfare. Another and the last thing that India can do is to increase its vaccine manufacturing capabilities. Today, for vaccine manufacturing, India is a hub. The India produces the most number of vaccines in the world, and we also export a very large number of vaccines to almost every country. So the world is quite dependent on India. But a thing that concerns India in the vaccine sector is that a majority of the raw material that we import are from China, and which is a radicalized country, and also it is not having very good relationship with India. So India must increase its potential of having the raw materials which are required to manufacture the vaccines, and also the research and development in vaccine must be there, and that's how we will be able to tackle any bioweapon in the future. So thank you very much.